Hello! Welcome back to my office. Today, we are going to go through the whole garden plan for this year, 2020. I have my garden all mapped out. I mapped it out in InDesign because I'm a graphic designer, and so, that's kind of what I do. So I have the little plan I made, and I will put that up now. So this is kind of what we're working off of. You'll see a lot of red dots in the back. Those are tomatoes. I didn't label the tomatoes individually because I don't really know where I'm going to put each variety yet, but there are 18 tomato plants again this year, which is how many I did last year, but they are all indeterminate. So I'm not doing any determinate tomatoes this year. So what I did this morning, or this afternoon actually, after it stopped raining for a few minutes, I went out and I took a photo of the garden as best I could from as high as I could get it without getting on a ladder in the wind. And so here's what the garden looks like right now. It's a mess, but hopefully this will give you a better idea of where I'm putting things and how they're going to take up space in the actual garden versus looking at it on like a piece of paper. I'm going to take you through the garden and tell you kind of what I'm going to put where. So how I'm going to show you this, I think, because there's a lot going on. I am trying to plant a lot of stuff. I don't want to overwhelm you. I don't want to overwhelm myself because I'm looking at my spreadsheet of seeds and I am like, oh my god, there's a lot. I'm going to start at the gate. So the gate is down here. Right inside the gate, we have a couple perennials. There is a rosemary bush and then there are two lavenders. Now, the lavender is still a mystery to me because I tried to start some from seed and I actually tried to start the rosemary from seed too. And none of them worked. Nothing came up. So I bought the rosemary bush from Lowe's. The lavender, both lavenders I have came from Rural King. Neither of them were marked except they said lavender. Okay. If you've ever shopped at Rural King, if you have a Rural King in your area, if you've ever been there and looked at the plant starts, sometimes they are not very descriptive. Sometimes they just say like lavender or strawberries or basil, and you're like, okay, but what kind? So there was two different types of lavender. They both just said lavender. So I was like, I'm just gonna get one of each. They were obviously different. I was like, I don't know, I'm just gonna get them both and see what happens. So I planted them both. The one is massive still, and the other one may be dead. So we'll see if they come back. Next to those, in front of those, next to the gate, I am going to have some cilantro, which I got from Baker Creek, and it is called Slow Bolt Cilantro. Last year I tried to grow cilantro and it bolted pretty much immediately. We had a very weird spring last year in that it was like so cold and then it was so hot. We didn't really have like any like in the middle days. And so that really was detrimental to my cilantro. So I'm hoping that giving it its own space in the garden and then doing some succession plantings will help that cilantro keep growing throughout the season because we actually eat a lot of cilantro in our house. Next to that will be the dill, and I actually have two types of dill now. I have my mammoth dill that I grew last year that came from Rural King. And then I also have bouquet dill, which I got for free from Baker Creek. I don't know what the difference is between the bouquet dill and the mammoth dill. I will probably grow both just to see kind of what it looks like. I don't know, and because I'm curious. Next to that, the herb and lavender area. Last year in this area, I did onions. This year, I don't think I'm gonna plant any extra onions. I have some that have started growing again on the outside of the archway, and I'm just gonna leave those and see what happens to them. but I don't think I'm gonna plant onions right here like I did. I'm going to use this area for bush beans. I have 3 types of bush beans. These are all from In My Gardener: Top Crop Bush, Jade Bush, and Royal Burgundy Bush. Now, I planted all of these last year for the fall, and they did not do well, I think because of the weather, and I had a baby rabbit that kept eating them. I was very disappointed with my beans last year. I literally got probably 3 handfuls of beans all summer, and that irritated me. So I am determined to get some beans, whether they're bush or pole. I don't care where they come from. As long as they come from my backyard, I'll be happy. Next to the bush beans is the strawberry patch. This is just the strawberries that are already there, and these strawberries have pretty much taken over their area. They are huge. So I am crossing my fingers, hoping that I will get some berries this year. I have yet to get really any berries off of these plants at all, so I am really hoping that I get some berries. Across the gate from that, where I had the marigolds last year, I have zinnias / kale. And you're like, okay. So I'm going to start some kale for the spring. I'm going to plant it right there next to that arch in the front of the garden. I don't know how long kale will live through the summer, but I'm going to plant a few zinnias in there as well. I have candy striped zinnias from In My Gardener. I'm going to start those in the house probably early April. I'm probably not going to start those super early because I don't think they're going to take very long to be ready to go out, and I won't plant those outside until a little bit later. I'm going to plug the zinnias in between the kale, I think, because by the time the zinnias are big enough, the kale should be done for the season. I also have Velvet Queen sunflowers, which are like a dark red sunflower. They're like a 6 foot tall. I have the Solar Power sunflowers, which are the ones I grew last year, and those got way over 6 feet tall. And then I also bought some teddy bear sunflowers from Baker Creek, and those only get like 2-ish feet tall. So those actually may be really cute in with those zinnias. And I actually think I may put those kind of just dotting them around the garden. I just love sunflowers. Next to that, at the end of the first archway, there is a circle that says lettuce tower. So I'm going to order one of those tower planters from Amazon, and I'm going to plug lettuce in there. Now I have my slow bolt arugula. I got that from In My Gardener. I actually have some of that in the garden right now, and it has a container over it. You'll see this container in the garden that has my arugula under it. And I actually picked it up last night when I got home to look at it, and it's actually growing. So that's awesome. I mean, it's not like enough to make a salad with yet, but I'm hoping that by the time the lettuce that I started in the basement is ready to harvest, I have some arugula to mix in with it. So I'm going to put my slow bolt arugula and some Rocky Top lettuce mix and my American spinach in that lettuce tower. The tower I'm gonna buy has 5 different levels, and they have 4, they're like a 4-leaf clover shape of like pots. So they kind of, you know, topsy-turvy around. That's 20 different plugs I can plug stuff in. So I'm hoping that I can get some good lettuce and spinach and arugula and kale and all of that this spring into the summer. After the lettuce dies off, maybe I'll just plant some herbs. I don't know, we'll see. I may also put some flowers in there too. Like, I still have a bunch of marigold seeds, and I also got some free lemon balm seeds from Baker Creek. I may plug a couple of those in there too, just for a variety. So let's head into this archway. So in this first cattle panel, I have 2 cattle panels right next to each other. So it makes an 8 foot long archway. I have them, I think, 5 feet apart. So in this first area right here, I have my cucumbers, and I'm doing 2 cucumber plants again this year, but I'm gonna put them next to each other. And I have my green dragon burpless cucumbers, which are the ones I grew last year that are like real long and kind of like bumpy and wrinkly. And then I also got some muncher cucumbers this year to try, and those are smaller variety that are good for, you know, pickling. You can pickle them whole, slice them, spear them, you know, that kind of thing. The burpless cucumbers actually make really good slices if you pick them before they get too big, but they're also very delicious to eat fresh. Next to that, actually across from that, not next to, in that same archway on the other side, I'm going to put my beans. So I have 3 types of pole beans. I have my purple potted pole beans, I have rattlesnake pole beans, and Kentucky Wonder pole beans. Now last year I had Kentucky Wonder pole beans, or so I thought. I bought them from Rural King. I planted some of them, most of them came up. One of them was a pole bean, the rest of them were bush beans. Okay, I did not get very many off of any of them. The pole bean plant, the one pole bean that I had did grow up the trellis, but it did not produce a ton of beans, and the beans it did produce were not good. They were really stringy and they were really flat. They were not a Kentucky Wonder pole bean. So I don't know what happened there, but I bought a new pack from M.I. Gardener, and I'm fairly confident that this year I will have Kentucky Wonder pole beans. So I'm going to plant, I don't know what I'll plant on that side. I have 4 feet right there that I can do something with. Maybe I'll just mix them up. I don't know. In that next arch, I have peas, and I have them actually on the 2 sides across from each other. I have golden sweet pea and mammoth melting snow peas. These actually, right now, are still out there. They're still alive. They have grown a tiny bit. It's supposed to be 20 degrees tomorrow. So I am not holding out a lot of hope for them to survive through the whole winter. But if they do, that would be awesome. Less peas for me to plant. So I'm going to plant 1 variety on one side and 1 on the other. Next to those, I have my cantaloupes and my watermelon. I have my Sierra Gold cantaloupe, which is what I grew last year. I'm actually really excited about planting this one. It's called the Minnesota Midget Cantaloupe, and it's just like a smaller variety, and it's supposed to be sweeter than like a regular size cantaloupe. So I'm excited about that. And then last year I planted sugar baby watermelons. I don't think I'm going to plant those again. And crimson sweet watermelons is the new variety that I got for this year. I'm planting cantaloupes and watermelons again, but I'm planting different varieties of them. So next in these 3 green circles is squash. Now, I am thinking that I may actually plant my squash in grow bags just to kind of see how they do, because I am concerned about there not being enough space. So I'm going to order some grow bags, either 5 or 7 gallon. I don't know that they need to be much bigger than that, and plant them in there just to kind of see how they do. I have delicata squash, and then I have Italian striped zucchini and yellow crookneck squash. So I'm going to do 1 of each of those in their grow bag, and I'm going to actually use a tomato cage in the bag to kind of keep them up and keep them from, flopping over the side of the bag and getting everywhere. These yellow circles are peppers. I have 8 peppers going, and I am going to do 2 Craig's Grande jalapenos, 1 cayenne, 1 pepperoncini, 2 Keystone Resistant Giant, 1 Chocolate Beauty, 1 Serrano, and 1 Black Beauty. I have 4 hot peppers and 5 sweet peppers, but I only have room for 8. Okay. Okay, well maybe I will only do 1. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Maybe I'll put 1 in a grow bag. I don't know. And then I can throw it wherever I want. But yeah, so those are the varieties I'm planting for peppers. These little green dots down here next to these red dots are basil. I have heard that planting basil with your tomatoes is a good pest repellent. I don't know how true that is. Last year I did marigolds with the tomatoes, and I don't know. I don't know if it helped or not. I have no idea. I didn't have a lot of problems with my tomatoes having bugs on them as much, I guess. I don't know. So maybe I will do some marigolds and some dill or some basil just to kind of see what happens. Attract some more pollinators down there. I don't know. And the basil that I have for this year is called Emily basil. So this is one I bought from Baker Creek. Last year I did compact basil that I got at Rural King, and it just wasn't my favorite. The leaves were so tiny, they were hard to work with. This Emily basil is supposed to be a little bit bigger leaf, so I'm excited to grow that and kind of see how it does. And I probably will plant some compact basil too, just to kind of compare it. Last but not least is tomatoes. Now, I have 18 tomato plants out here. I am not growing all of them, or from seed. I'm not starting all of them. My best friend Katie and I are doing a plant exchange again like we did last year. She is where I got the Longkeeper, the San Marzano, the Purple Russian, and the Chianti Rose. And so we are going to do the same thing again this year. And she's actually starting a few of my peppers as well, the Black Beauty and the Serrano. She's starting those. So in no particular order, here are the tomato varieties I'm growing for 2020. These are the ones I'm starting. So I am starting these from seed myself. San Marzano, Amish Paste, Triple Crop, Kellogg's Breakfast, Pink Ox Heart, Cherokee Purple, White Cherry, Large Red Cherry, Brandywine Black, and Aunt Ruby's German Green. Now, I also have seeds for the Mini Bell tomatoes, which are like a container variety. And I may start one of those as well to put somewhere. I don't know. Maybe I'll put it on my front porch. I don't know. But it's not going to end up in the actual garden. So these are the varieties that Katie is starting for me. Costoluto Genovese, Pineapple, Chianti Rose, again, because I love it, Carbon, Black Seaman, and Thorburns Terracotta. So those are all 18 varieties of plants that I'm planting. I'm only planting one of each. Hopefully I don't regret that, but I think I'm gonna be okay. I have some good varieties here that I know are good, and I'm excited to try them. That is what I am planting for 2020, and where it's going, and when I'm starting it, and all of that. I hope this helps you. Let me know what you think of the plan, or if you have a plan yet, or if you're still working on it, or if you need help, or whatever. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.